things you can't do while mixing and why.
But we will get to all of those things because right now we are live on Facebook. What do
Oh my God.
you know what that means? It's Friday.
This is Producing Music Podcast with Mark Dollar and Cooper Anderson.
It's Producing Music Podcast time. I am Mark Dollar.
I am Cooper Anderson.
Here with my amazing co-host, Cooper Anderson. I wanted to introduce you this week.
Thanks for the intro. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get right to it. New Music Friday.
New Music Friday. Yeah, pulling up my list. I might as well get started. I don't know. I felt like it was kind of whack this week, this whole playlist. The Beyonce song was terrible to me. I just didn't like anything about it, from her vocal, like melody selection to the beat. I just didn't think it fit. I always understand that they have some sort of like thing that they're tying up to the song, but to be honest with you, wasn't feeling none of it. I thought the new Billie Eilish song was okay. It's a little bit of a dragster, but it's
That was
fine.
cool
It's
too.
gonna be all right.
Kind of, yeah, kind of nice vibe. I
Yeah.
guess it sounds like her other stuff. I haven't really heard much of her other stuff, so I don't know. I've heard like 4 songs or something. Like the 4.
Yeah, it's kind of all the same thing. I feel like she's kind of more like if Lana Del Rey was more electronic and didn't try to do all the 60s like moody sounds,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally.
Uh yeah, that's kind of what I kind of get from um Miss Eilish. Um I just thought that the entire playlist kind of had some weird stuff going on, some bad arrangements, some bad productions, and
Yeah,
some mixes that were just terrible all around. What do you think, Cooper?
yeah. I wasn't really into it this week. I had a few good songs. I mean, that's the thing with this playlist. It's not really like based on anything other than like what the labels want to push that week. So it's kind of like the equivalent of, I used to go to Tower Records in Boston, on Monday night at midnight and see what they had, and that was like the new releases. And sometimes you knew stuff was coming out if you're a fan of the band or whatever. But that's kind of what this is now. Like the labels just push stuff to this playlist basically. And it's mostly label releases too.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, I get that and all, but I just think that, the way that this playlist was selected, I just think it was not good. I just think that a lot of the better songs were dead smack in the middle of the playlist this week. And I think that's more on the person who curated the playlist rather than any artist or label himself. And, just getting back to my wrap up, it's like, listen, we're not like disgruntled producers or anything like that. And I'm sure on the base level, most of these songs are fine. However, my issue is that if we aren't hitting the highest marks that we can achieve, you know, and sometimes if we're not really, using our productions to get us, um, you know, to the best arrangements, we're just going to have flat sounding songs and flat sounding, ideas that when they get to the end listener, they're not inspiring and they're not impactful. I am an, I'm an, yeah, I am an end listener when it comes to listening to this new music Friday Spotify playlist. Um, I just personally feel like, you know, some of these things, these shortcomings are based off of how we record this stuff, how we produce it, and how we mix it. You know, if we can find a concept, whether it be like a lyric or a progression, it's our job as producers to take it to the finish line and create impact for our listener. Some of those things that I do on a daily basis, which I'm looking for when I hear some of these songs, is I question my arrangements and my tonal concepts, meaning what kind of bass sound am I going to get? What kind of drum sound am I going to get? This, that, and the other. I question all of the instruments, the melodies, and the ideas, you know, and trying to figure out if they're playing the right role for the song, rhythmically, sonically, and impact-wise. I did like a handful of songs from this week's playlist, and if you want to check out this week's picks of mine, you could check out our Spotify playlists, currently named New Music Friday Modified, with over 15 hours of music. It's over 15 hours, like straight up over 15 hours of music. Please check it out. We'll have the links in our descriptions and everything. And I'm sure it'll get the party moving and it will keep you inspired through and through. And also, I'm going to do this every week. It's a practice for me because I got to sell myself. $1 sample pack to all the producers that are out there. I know that there are producers out here watching and listening. I know that you guys are always looking for samples. And right now, I am upset that you guys aren't hitting me up saying we need more guitar samples in this world. These samples are dope. Over 50 samples that you can immediately apply to your pop or hip hop productions. For fresh approaches, not your just basic, you know, okay, here's a guitar riff, do something with it. Some really cool, fresh approaches. 5 different tones per each sample, from amp sounds to cool time-based effects and so on. $samplepack.com. And we'll also have it up on GodRiverAudio.com, which will be up next week. But $samplepack.com, check out those samples. I'm pretty sure you guys won't be disappointed.
There's also presets, Logic, stock, amp, guitar presets, channel strips.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do have those as well. Yeah, those stock Logic presets. I wish I could do something for my Pro Tools homies, but the only thing in there is 11 free for most Pro Tools users, unless they're doing the subscription and what they get, and where they get 11, the entire kind of stock guitar program. But I do have some of those that I can impose in the preset pack. And also I use...
Let us know what guitar amps you're using, and Mark will make you a preset pack.
Well, I actually have some that I use. If anybody out there is using the Will Putney STL guitar plugin, hit me up. If anybody is using any of the Neural DSP stuff, the nameless amplifier, please hit me up. Those are some of the hottest ones out right now, and people are using those all the time. That's more so for rock and metal, but they're still really good and really real sounding amplifiers. So yeah, definitely check all that stuff out. And I love the Will Putney plugin, STL tonality plugin, just because you can blend 2 amplifiers together with effects, and it has like a nice chain, a routing chain, and you know, it's really cool. So yeah,
kind of like your secret weapon. Yeah. That's like your secret weapon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is my secret weapon for sure. I use it all the time. All the time.
Trying to get my setup here. This is the first podcast I've done at the new spot, so.
Oh yeah, this is the first podcast in the new spot.
Sure, everything's up and running. I got sick of bringing my video stuff back and forth every other day to do sessions at home versus here. So just doing them here. Keep it simple.
Doing them there.
Keep it simple.
It looks like you did quite some, updating and decorating. How do you feel as a
Just getting started. Just getting started. Takes a long time.
Yeah, it really does, right?
Yep. It's all right though.
Cool.
So, anything specific about the New Music Friday playlist you want to talk about?
Well, I think I pretty much went through all of my my kind of wrap up. Do you want to go ahead and give?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple. Like I said, the Billie Eilish one was pretty cool. It was kind of like her older stuff. Let's see, what else did I pull up? The Sam Smith record. I liked that one.
I thought that shit was trash. I'm just.
Griffin, the new Griffin record was dope too. I mean, it's kind of like both of those records are like the typical record you would expect to hear from that artist. It's like very formulaic. They found their sound and they just do that on repeat. So yeah, I mean that kind of makes it boring, but like at least the sound is good. That's why they're getting the money behind them to be up on this New Music Friday playlist. Bo, I don't want to make, I don't know, this is a super long title. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool though. Production. Snake Hips, Live for You, I liked. The Skip Marley record with Rick Ross was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool too. That made it to the New Music Friday Modified for sure.
I had 2 trap beats. I'm producing Brazilian Girl. So I had like 2 trap beats that I thought were kind of cool for that kind of vibe. Ant Clemens, Freak, and Shoreline Mafia on the low. Oh no, Ant Clemens, Freak. I forgot what type of music that was. And then Millie by Static and Ben L. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, not that much. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. They had like a ton of songs that I loved. So I guess it's just whatever, luck of the draw.
I think that's what it is this week. It's like, whatever we got.
Yep. Cool. So what's the news? What's the word on the street?
All right, let's keep moving. Music news this week is, everybody's talking about the Spotify shareholder letter. There were some big milestone points that was made by Pete Vogel, who's the Spotify CEO. And for the most part, there are some, or at least 2, kind of milestone statements that they've made based on their Q2 quarter 2 tracking for 2020. And that is, gone are the days of top 40. It is now the top 43,000. And the reason why they say this is because their Q2 results for 2020 states that 43,000 artists share 90% of the top streams on Spotify. And this number has been exponentially growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. What do you think about this stuff, Cooper?
Well, it's a good thing, because that means that more people are getting paid, basically.
Which is awesome.
You have an increase in the number of top artists.
How much, we're not sure, but
I mean, top tier, maybe, is that a livable wage from streaming? Well, 43,000. Do you think 43,000? I mean, they're paying $1 million an hour to the labels, basically. And
but that's also
what 43,000. You got to think about how many of those are label artists who are getting a cut taken out of their streams versus how many are independent artists, which are more typically own their own masters.
That's what I was about to say. How many of those are actual label artists? Yeah, no, I was definitely agreeing with you on that. The 43,000 of that 43,000 who of those 43,000 are actual label artists, the independent numbers in a truthful way from their Q2 results. And I have a second question for you based on this music news is, do you think, based on what they're saying, do you think this is signifying the end for like metric services like Billboard and Nielsen SoundScan?
No, I think there's always a need for those, and I think there's actually been more demand for that type of service. I've seen a bunch more of those companies popping up.
Well, there's Sync Music.
Well, it's all about data and analytics and stuff, and the more the data that's available to people. I mean, labels are using this data too. I just heard something that's saying that, like, it's not like the reason why you haven't gotten signed or whatever is just because, like, labels are looking for stuff that'll, like, guaranteed make them a bunch of money. So even if, like, they could work with you and maybe develop you, like, it's an opportunity cost for them to go with other person who's, like, already, generating a bunch of money for them, because they have, like, they're publicly traded companies. They have, like, shareholders and stuff they have to appease.
Of course, there's obviously going to be politics within the ideas of data metrics within music.
So as an independent artist, you need to, like, be able to develop yourself, and, like, the more data sources that you have available where you can, like, figure out where stuff that you're doing is working, then the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think there's always going to be demand for all of those type of services, Nielsen and Billboard and all that.
I like to think that it's all about what market you're in, because if you are, like, for instance, if you're a metal or rock band, I don't think like a Nielsen SoundScan is going to really do something for you. It's not going to provide any metric or anything like that. Definitely if you're more in a local to, like, getting to a national kind of status as a band or artist, I think those are things that you kind of have to consider. You're right, there are new ones, as we talked a few weeks ago on the podcast about Sync Music and some of their stats that came up from their first quarter results. And you could check out some of our previous podcasts to kind of look at that. But we were also, looking to get some, some of our own stats going in terms of some of the music that we were, reviewing on this podcast as well. So, we're definitely going to look to, kind of see where all this ramps up for some of our individual artists and how we can make them more aware of, these different metrics that we can use to really track our music.
So do you want to talk about our top 5 things?
Cool, let's go for it. It seems like we got a relatively short podcast.
All killer, no filler, baby.
But
that's how we roll. All killer, no filler.
Yeah, we're all killer, no filler.
That's right.
All right, sweet. So let's talk about it. The 5 things you cannot do while mixing and why. This is a very interesting topic because I think there's 2 sides. It's a double-edged sword when it comes to this topic.
Yeah, I would put parentheses for free in there. Like, if they're paying, you can do whatever you want. Like, as far there's.
I don't know. My thing, and that's where it becomes like a double-edged sword, because to be honest with you, if they're paying, then I want to be paid for exactly what I'm doing. If you're saying to me you're mixing, I don't want to be editing your song while I'm supposed to be mixing it. And a lot of times in like something like metal and stuff like that, like that's not necessarily what you want to do, because you're going to be spending a whole lot of time getting the tone together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I understand that there are some producers who kind of don't care, but I mean, and I'm also going to say this, I'm also not opposed to doing for instance, like some small edits here or there. If I catch them and they're small, then sure. However, we're talking about like song is halfway edited and you're trying to get the mix done type stuff,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you have to be basically like when you're at the mixing phase, you want to have all that stuff taken care of as much as possible, for sure.
Yeah. And we kind of just went over the first one already, which is editing.
So number
A lot of
2 is production and sample selecting. I feel like those are
yeah,
kind of related, like production is like arrangement, there's some editing, that sort of thing. But sample searching, yeah, you want to have the sounds basically kind of locked in, because that's a big part of the mix is a good production.
yeah. I also feel like you can't get the impact of the song down until you have the right sample selected anyway. If you're going through the mix saying, oh man, I need to switch this sample, but yet you're still trying to work with the sample, then you already know you're setting yourself up for a mix that is not all the way there. And I'll be honest, I was one of those guys as well. I used to keep my trigger plugins open up until the very end of the mix and stuff like that. And I was always just switching things around. And sometimes those work, but a lot of times those just switching a sample cause more trouble than what it's worth. So again, you kind of want to have your sounds together. Um, and I also want to say this to our mixing engineers out there. If a client is coming to you and saying, okay, there's no tones for anything, all I have is MIDI, then that person is essentially asking you to produce the record, not to mix it. You're supposed to mix with what you got, and you can't mix little MIDI blips. You can't do that. So you have to have a vision for what the song is supposed to sound like from the client, more so, to help them, understand what the end product for their song is, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and help them make sure they get reasonable expectations that you're not going to make a hit out of like your demo GarageBand recording just with a little mixing.
Yeah.
Work like that. Number 3, recording.
Yeah.
Everything else, like, I mean, when you're already mixing, why are you still recording?
Yeah.
If you're actually doing the final mix, like, I mean, I feel like, when you're producing stuff, you should just kind of be doing a little mixing the whole time just to make sure everything sounds good.
Yeah.
But like, we're talking about like final mix, like it's got to be all recorded. The decisions need to be made, and like the performances need to be in so that you're like not having to remix the other portions. You're basically backstepping to like, back into the production phase at that point if you're still recording.
Yeah, I definitely had some producers or like some bands or artists who would hit me up and say, yeah, we're gonna do this mix, but then when this happens, I'll come back and redo the vocals and I'll send you that, and I'm like, whoa, no, like that's not the way we want to do it. I don't like doing these on running kind of mixes. And there was a lot of clients who have tried to get that off on me. Like, like, all right, well, we're going to do a different version of this mix, which is another kind of point that we didn't make, is like arrangement. I had this one client who hit me up and said that she wanted to do different versions of the song for each different platform that she put it on. And I don't think you can actually do that unless you're working straight up exclusively with a label. And B, um, that's just too much work for me that if I were to charge her for all of that, it wouldn't be worth it. So, that's another kind of thing that we haven't talked about on here is arrangement. I think that's something that's big in there. But yeah, recording, yeah, we have to make sure that we don't we get the best recordings and all the things situated before we get in the mix in for sure.
Number 4, distractions. What?
Distractions.
I'm running
I
like
mean,
a Sesame Street episode. That's a what?
yeah.
Distraction.
Distractions. I mean, those are, like I used to work with a producer who wanted to like mix alongside of me and stuff like that. But the problem was he always had a call and he wouldn't want me to do anything. And so I had to tell him one day, hey man, like I can't sit here and do this, let alone even do a mix around you. If you're taking these many calls. And then that happens for ourselves as well, and where we're always on the phone or we're looking at articles and stuff like that. There are times in where you can work on a mix and you could be listening to like something else or maybe watching something else as you're doing something that's technical towards the production or song. But for the most part, the more distractions that you have of that, the worse the idea set that's supposed to come out of the mix is going to be.
All right, so that was 4. And I think number 5, you kind of like alluded to it, and arrangement. I feel like arrangement is something that you can do a little bit during the mix, but I recommend no. Like if I'm getting a song in the mix and people want to like fiddle with the arrangement, it's usually like a whole other can of worms that like I'm not really looking to do. If I, as a mixer, want to do some arrangement changes and try those things, then yeah, I'll take the liberties. But like I don't want to be directed to like get that sorted out before you send it to a mixer.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's just for me, the arrangement. If it's like I just got that actually. I just got a song, and where they want the song to they want me to mix the song, but I just thought the arrangement sucked, and it's like I just think if your arrangement isn't right, like if your drums run for too long or one part runs too short and this that, and the other, it's actually very hard to mix those things because you're anticipating that moment to happen. Music is an interpersonal thing. We react to it whether we like it or not. And so if we're listening to a song and we know that the song is supposed to go somewhere, but yet it hasn't gone there, then we have to kind of think about whether or not that's the right arrangement. I think that, a lot of people get caught up in, again, the sample selection, trying to figure out if they have the right kind of lyrics going without thinking about how the song feels. And so, yeah, I can't really deal with arrangement in the middle of a mix because if I have to sit there and do that, then to me the mix it's not a mix. It's not ready to be mixed.
Yeah. So you basically have to get that finished up and then, start over on the mix.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think like a song could be produced properly if it's not arranged properly.
Yeah. Cool.
Word.
Well, I think that's a wrap for Producing Music Podcast, episode 13. Thanks a lot for checking us out. remember, $samplepack.com. Sign up for the email list. It's going to be available at godriveraudio.com very soon. We'll keep you posted on the emails. And until next week, Producing Music Podcast. We'll catch you next time.